Aloha guys, this is Scuba Chris. My last video, I went out and I was whipping, which is known as spin casting, and when I fell down, the rod tip suffered some damage. The black insert came out, so I super glued it back in that night. The next day I went out and it survived. I mean, I was able to bring in a small barracuda and a large lizardfish, but now it's beginning of the new week. That was a temporary fix, and my friends Mark Gonsalves messaged me, told me, I hope you're gonna get it done, because it's a bad thing. He even offered to do it for me, but I need to learn because I don't know how to do it. Never had to. But if you look on the internet, they give you all these self-help videos on how to use a lighter and melt the epoxy that's underneath the tip. That's wrong. Well, it's partially right. If it's a custom-made rod, that's partially correct, because the epoxy used has a different melting point than the typical factory installed one. Now, this is factory installed. So what would happen is, if I tried to use the system that everybody on YouTube is using, and I use the lighter to try to melt this off, the original blank material underneath would warp. It would bend over. It's no good, and you would have to cut it all the way down and have it professionally done. Don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to see my friend Brian Kimata, who owns Brian Fishing Supply in town. He's a pretty smart guy. He is the my fishing partner for my mentor Wayne Akagi. He knows what he's doing. So we're going to listen to what he says, and he's going to show me how to properly install a tip back onto my fishing rod. And it's not going to be like how everybody else does it on YouTube. It's going to be done the correct way, and not in a way that's going to create more damage, since this is a factory rod and not a custom rod. All right, thank you. So here I am at Brian's Fishing Supply, downtown Honolulu, at 1236 South King Street. The street in the front is a one-way street, so you just have to kind of come up the freeway, come down into this one, and it's pretty easy to find, right next to Zippy's restaurant over there.
So Scuba Chris bought this rod of his in, and the tip had lost the ring had popped out, and he was asking me about trying to repair this, because he had super glued it in, and that's fine, but that's a temporary repair. It's definitely a temporary repair. The correct way to do this permanently would be to change the whole tip, because we can't salvage a rod that's lost its ring. So the correct way to replace this, and there's a bad way and a correct way. The incorrect way would be to heat this rod up using a lighter, and that's a myth that's perpetuated on the internet, is to heat this up and remove this. Well, that would be partially true. That would be true if we were working with a rod that had been a custom rod, because custom rods use thermoplastic adhesive to hold the tips up. This rod, a factory rod, has either epoxy or super glue holding the tip on. And the melting point for super glue and epoxy has a melting point that's higher than the resins that's used in the blank. So if we were to heat this up to try and loosen the glue, we would end up melting the rod first, rendering it useless at the tip, versus having the tip come off. So the myth is, I guess, perpetuated partly because mistakenly people think that can be done because it can be done only on custom rods, and partially because if you're lucky, maybe 1 out of 15 or 20 times, it will come off just by heating it with a lighter. So the correct way would be to actually grind the tube of this down until we see our hairline crack, and then what will happen is we can then open the tube up and slip the tube off, replace the tip with thermoplastic adhesive. It'll be a permanent fix, but should we ever have a problem with the tip again, now we'll be able to hit it with. Alright, so Scuba Chris brought his rod in, and he needs a tip-top repair. It lost a ring, so we're gonna instruct him on how to do this. And the correct way to do this is to actually grind down the tube, split it open and remove it. We can't heat this because it's a production rod, and production rods are glued on with epoxy or super glue, and we can't do that. So just to give a demo on what that looks like, I have a rod that we just had repaired. This is a Penn Carnage rod that had a tip that was damaged. This is the completed repair, but this is what the guide looked like after we had ground it down and opened it out. So it used to look like a round barrel like this. We opened up one end with a Dremel and water to cool it off so there wasn't too much heat. But this is a big scale version of what Chris needs to do on his small boat. It'd be a lot simpler with this because you just need a small file, not the Dremel.
Right.
So when we change a tip and we replace it with adhesive, we're going to use what is called thermoplastic adhesive, also known as hot melt glue. And there's different kinds of hot melt glue. And there's hot melt glue that's used for crafts, and there's hot melt glue used specifically for rod building. And there's a big difference. So hot melt glue for crafts has a kind of milkishly white color, and it has a much lower melting point, and that makes it unacceptable. Because what happens is on a hot day or in your car, the tip might start to move because of the lower melting point. So this product right here, this Flex Coat glue, as you notice, is a different color. It's clear and it's amber, and this is what we're going to use. The correct way to do this is we're going to take this out of the package, heat it up with a lighter. It's going to start to get pretty soft and gooey, kind of like mozzarella. And what you're going to do is we're going to get this and apply some on the tip, and we're going to string some of these material out into a nice long string. And I have a bigger guide here, but we're going to take that string and roll it up and stick it into the tip top, because we want adhesive in the tip and on the rod before we assemble. So after we've done this, what we'll do is we'll heat this up first, melt the glue in here, reheat the tip, get that soft, and then we'll mate the two together. What I usually do is I hit it with a spray bottle to cool it off and lock it in place. Repair is done.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to demonstrate how to put heat glue on top of this rod that's missing a tip. So first things first, I'm going to heat this up. This may drip on you, and it is glue and it is hot, so I keep it away from my finger in case it drips straight down. You can tell that it's starting to melt. So what I'm going to do is take this, distribute it around the tip like this. I'm going to string some out and let it cool, because I'm trying to get this stringy area because I need it. I'll break this off. I'll roll this up, stick it into my tip top, and then I'll heat the tip top, then I'll heat the rod. I'll mate the two together, line up the guide, spray it with some cold water, lock it in place because you'll take all the heat away and make it locked in, and your repair is done.
Wow, you make it look so simple.
Because it's pretty simple, Chris.
Hey, well, thanks a lot, Brian.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go on the back side here of the smooth area of the barrel, and we're going to hit it with two different types of files. And since this is going to be a little bit time consuming, I'm going to turn it off and come back when I cut off the tip here. Okay, I got the tip off, as you can see, and it had some threading over here, so I just cleaned off the threading a bit, smoothed it down with my file, my ignition key file. So I kind of measured it. So as you notice, from the tip to where the paint is just about correct. There we go. All right, so now we're going to get our flex coat stick. This is where you use the lighter. You got to heat up the flex coat stick. See how it's changing the shape? You got to keep turning it. Otherwise, you're going to have a gooey mess. And see, look. That's what we want to get the spaghetti. This is what we want. This is what we want right here. All those strings is what we want. We want that. Get our string. We're not so slightly pliable yet. There we go. And we want to put that into, see that? We're putting that into the tip. Alrighty, break off some of the excess. That's why we wanted to make spaghetti strings. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of pre-measure this up. Okay, I'm gonna have my water bottle nearby. Put it here. So, let's see now. Kind of have to want it like so. All right. There's my lighter. There's my lighter. Now this is the part where you have to kind of woohoo! It's heating up. It's heating up. Ouch. Okay, I'm gonna have to take it away for a bit. Okay, spray down with some water. This will cause it to solidify the way we want it to solidify. Okay, how's that for perfection? That's pretty darn accurate. Already.